The surprise my sister had been preparing for a year. Growing up, my younger sister, Emily, was known as the quiet one in our family. While I was always loud and joking around, Emily was completely different. She spoke softly, rarely complained, and spent most of her time in her room with a sketchbook and a pencil. If something chaotic was happening in the house, you could be sure Emily was somewhere nearby, sitting quietly and observing everything. My dad used to joke about it. Emily could become a detective someday, he once said. Why? I asked. Because she notices everything and says almost nothing. And honestly, he was right. Emily had a strange talent. She noticed things that the rest of us completely ignored. If Mom was stressed, she noticed. If Dad came home tired after work, she noticed. If I was upset about something, she noticed. But she rarely talked about it. Instead, she would quietly go back to her room and continue drawing in her sketchbook. At the time, I thought she was just shy. I didn't realize she was actually paying attention to every little detail of our lives. Everything changed during my senior year of college. That year was stressful for everyone in our family. My dad had recently left his stable job and started a small business. It was a big risk, and the first few months didn't go well. Money suddenly became tighter than usual. My mom started planning every expense carefully. Even simple things like ordering food or buying new clothes became rare. I was also feeling pressure, because after graduation, I needed to find a job as soon as possible. So the whole house felt a little tense. But somehow, Emily still seemed calm. She continued going to school, finishing her homework, and spending hours drawing in her sketchbook. Sometimes I walked past her room and saw her sitting at her desk late at night, sketching something. One day, I asked her, "What are you always drawing?" She quickly closed her sketchbook. "Just random stuff," she said. But a few days later, I accidentally saw one of her drawings. It looked like our living room, but it wasn't just a simple sketch. It had tiny details. Mom standing in the kitchen, Dad sitting at the dining table with his laptop and papers, even me sitting on the couch searching for jobs online. "Wait," I said, "that's actually really good." Emily immediately closed the notebook. "It's just practice," she said quickly. Months passed. Slowly, things started improving. Dad's business began getting more customers. The stress in the house slowly faded, and one afternoon, I finally received the email I had been waiting for. I got my first job offer. When I told my parents, the whole house celebrated. Mom made my favorite dinner. Dad even brought home a small cake. That evening, we were all sitting together in the living room. Suddenly, Emily stood up. "I want to show you something," she said. That alone surprised us. She went to her room and came back carrying a large flat box. "What's that?" Mom asked. Emily placed it on the table. "Just open it." Dad carefully opened the box. Inside was a large framed artwork. For a few seconds, nobody said anything. The painting was beautiful, but what made it special was what it showed. It was a detailed illustration of our family's entire year. The artwork was divided into small scenes. One scene showed Dad working late at night at the dining table with paperwork and coffee cups. Another showed Mom planning the household budget. Another showed me sitting with my laptop searching for jobs. And in the corner of the painting, Emily had drawn herself quietly sketching everything. Mom covered her mouth. "Emily, you made this?" Emily nodded. "It took almost a year." Dad leaned closer to the painting. The details were incredible. Even the small things were there. The clock on the wall, the stack of mail on the table, the way Mom tied her hair while cooking. It looked like a collection of memories. "But why?" I asked. Emily paused for a moment. Then she said softly, "Because I didn't want us to forget this year." The room became quiet. "This year was difficult," she continued, "but it also showed how hard everyone worked for this family." Mom's eyes filled with tears. Dad didn't say anything for a moment. Emily pointed to different parts of the artwork. "Dad worked harder than ever." She pointed to another scene. "Mom kept everything running at home." Then she looked at me. "And you didn't give up until you found a job." Dad finally asked, "When did you learn to draw like this?" Emily shrugged. "I watched tutorials online and practiced every day." Mom gently touched the frame. "This is beautiful." Dad walked over to Emily and hugged her. "You noticed everything," he said quietly. Emily smiled. "I always do." From that day on, the painting stayed on our living room wall. Whenever someone visits our house, they always stop and stare at it, and they ask the same question. "Who made this?" Dad always answers proudly, "My daughter did." Sometimes I stand in front of that painting and look closely at all the tiny scenes. Every time I notice something new hidden in it, and that's when I realize something. While the rest of us were busy worrying about the future, Emily was quietly capturing the present. And because of her, we will never forget the year our family proved how strong we really were.